The dopamine debt trap. The dopamine debt trap. Why you feel exhausted despite doing nothing, and the biological cost of cheap attention. That is what I want to talk about on this week's episode of Mind Shift with Minister Mike. The dopamine debt trap. See, there's a diagnosis around this. That is the trap. And that's the first thing I want us to look at. You wake up tired. You drink coffee. But the fog in your mind doesn't lift, all right? You sit down to work, but your hand instinctively reaches for your phone and you start scrolling again for another 10 minutes, for another 15 minutes, 20. Before you know it, an hour is gone scrolling. And that has been your routine for a while now. And by afternoon, you feel totally exhausted. By the time evening is here, you're thinking, what did I achieve today? But here is the paradox. You haven't actually done anything. You haven't built anything. You haven't exerted yourself in any way physically. So, why does your soul feel so heavy? Why are you feeling this tired? See, you are not lazy. Let's just be clear. You are just in debt. You are specifically in what I call dopamine debt. Every time you reach for that cheap hit of stimulation, you are not relaxing. Let's just be clear. You are borrowing energy from your tomorrow so that you can be able to tolerate whatever you are going through today. And just like financial debt, eventually the bill comes due. See, there is a biology around this, and that is what I want us to speak to right now. For you to understand what I'm talking about, we need to look at the machinery of your motivation, the system that determines maybe you are motivated or not. Your brain has a baseline for your satisfaction. There is a baseline. There is like a foundation for your satisfaction. When you flood it with super stimuli like video games, pornography, infinite scrolling, you are spiking your dopamine levels far above what nature intended. You're pushing yourself beyond the limit of dopamine level that nature wants for you, but biology demands balance, and that is what is called homeostasis. It demands balance, so what goes up must come down. The problem is not the spike. The problem is now the crash after the spike. When you come down, you don't return to your baseline level. You drop below the baseline level of your dopamine. And that is the depth I'm talking about. You now feel less joy from the normal things that you did before. And that is how this thing works. In the below baseline, in the trial, writing an email or sending SMS feels like torture. Reading a book now feels impossible. Walking outside to feel nature now feels boring. You know why? Because your brain is screaming for another hit of dopamine just for you to feel normal again. This is not a lack of discipline. It is a chemical inability to perceive value in the long-term goals. Your brain doesn't understand how there is value in all your long-term goals. And that is what I'm here to tell you. There is a solution to this, and I call it the protocol. There is a solution to this, and this is it. So you ask yourself, how do I now pay off the debt? This dopamine debt that you're talking about, Minister Mike, how do I pay off this debt? Because I don't like the way I feel after all these things. Most people try to power through it, willpower and all that. They drink more coffee, more caffeine. They buy a new planner. This is like trying to pay off a credit card debt by taking another credit card. The only way I know of for you to be able to reset your baseline is to embrace the only one thing that you are running away from. And guess what? And that is boredom. You have to embrace boredom. Boredom is not a defect. It is a filter. When you are bored, your dopamine receptors start to heal. They become sensitive again. You have to embrace being bored. Many of us run away from being bored, and that is why we are in this up and down, our mood swing things. See, I want you to try this for 24 hours, all right? No input, no phone, no music, no podcasts, no screens. Once in 3 months, I tried this. Nothing. I just leave everything and just be with myself. Just you and whatever work it is that you are doing. Just you and your thoughts. Just you and your boredom. At first, let me be sincere with you. It is painful. You will feel the itch. That itch is the debt that is leaving your body. You will feel it. But after a few hours, something magical happens to you. All right, the wall becomes interesting. The work that you're doing becomes engaging. The silence that you've been living in for quite some time stops being scary, and it starts being full. You start noticing things that was there before, but that you are not paying attention to. So I'm calling you today to an adventure. A focused mind is the most dangerous asset in the modern world because it is the rarest. To be focused in this distracted world is the most dangerous asset you can have in your arsenal. And that is what I want you to develop. Everyone else is drowning in the shallows of cheap dopamine, social media stimulations. See, if you can learn to sit in the deep end of your life, if you can learn to be bored, to embrace boredom, you become unstoppable. And that is exactly what I want you to go with this week. Starve the distractions, feed your focus, pay off the debt so that you'll be able to reclaim your mind. This is Mind Shift with Minister Mike, and I will talk to you next week. Bye for now.